What is up, YouTube? I'm back with a Diamond Dynasty video, and today we're focused on switch hitters. One of the key changes this year has been the removal of pitcher handedness in the lineup screen, so now you no longer know if you're going to face a righty or a lefty. And there's been some griping about it, and I get it to a degree, right? It's nice to be able to set up your lineup based on the pitcher that you're going to face. In real life, you do know who you're going to face, and so I understand those who say, hey, that takes away some realism. I totally get that. However, I do think it adds a little bit of realism back on the other end to where you're not always going to have perfect platoons for righty versus lefty the way we do in Diamond Dynasty. Like the fact that we have these stacked teams, that's not realistic. So if we're really going for like 1,000% realism, we're already missing the mark there. In real life, a lot of great lefties or even platoon guys who should probably be platoon lefties end up facing a lot of left-handed batters because the team doesn't have a perfect platoon for them. Now there are teams that do run platoons, and so again, it's not a perfect solution, but I don't think it takes away as much realism as a lot of folks believe. That said, it doesn't really matter at this point. The debates over it are moot because it is what we have. And so now we need to focus on adjusting to it. And I think the big adjustment that a lot of folks believe we should be focused on is switch hitters. Everyone believes that they're going to become kind of the prized possession now in the market, and they're going to spike up and become something that you can use to counterbalance this move. So I actually came up with 3 different lineups, just kind of an A, B, and C lineup. You'll see them. It would have been nice if I had all these cards and I could just put them in a lineup and kind of show you a little bit more crystallized how they go. But instead, we're going to go through player by player here in the market, and you can kind of see how they work out. We got catcher first, second, third, short, and then the 3 outfield positions. All right. So let's start with this is team 1. This is the good one, or team A. I forget if I said A or B or A or 1, whatever. These are going to be the best guys that I think you can get in terms of switch hitters for your lineup. And so let's start. And by the way, I believe these are all live series that I'm focused on. So we'll start at catcher with Yasmani Grandal. I really like Yasmani Grandal. You see he's on a minus inside edge today. Not too bad though, -2s. That'll be all right. He can work against righties and lefties. Obviously, he is a little bit worse against lefties, but not so much so that you can't use him. You really like that 80 power against righties. Quality defense as well, good discipline. Just a solid catcher. He's not elite by any stretch of the imagination, but I've noticed that a lot of folks, myself included, hit pretty well with him even in the face of otherwise, solid but unspectacular ratings. So I think Yasmani Grandal is the guy you want to use behind the dish for this A lineup. Shifting over to first base, use another guy who you could actually use a catcher if you wanted, and that's Victor Martinez, but you would take a big hit. That's why I stuck with Grandal, because I do care somewhat about the defense. So I want to have somebody who can play defense behind the dish. So I'm going to go with Victor at first base. And actually, I misspoke. You cannot put him at catcher anymore. There's another guy who is primarily first base that you can put at catcher, and he's actually our catcher for the Team B lineup. Sorry, completely forgot about that for a moment. But let's focus on what Victor can do at the dish. He's awesome. He's solid against righties on contact and power, and then kills lefties. So you'd love to see a lefty come up in that starting pitcher screen anytime you got Victor Martinez in your lineup, because you know that he's going to have that giant PCI, and there's going to be trouble brewing for your opponent. So I got Victor Martinez at first base here. Moving over to second base, I think we actually have a third baseman who has second base eligibility, and that would be Jose Ramirez. And that's another guy. There's flexibility, right? Because he has third primary and then second, short, and left field. So you can move guys around. I just made the lineup how I feel it is best, but there is some flexibility here. So obviously you're not locked in. This is the perfect sort of switch hitter, right? Because he is the same. There's no real platoon split. You have like 3 points difference in power, 1 point difference in contact, excellent vision, solid defense, really durable too. Not that there's a ton of injuries in Diamond Dynasty, but it's nice to know that there's a low likelihood of Jose Ramirez getting hurt. Plus some speed too. I'm not a big base stealer, but you don't have to be a big base stealer for speed to matter. Speed matters for defense. Speed matters just for running the bases, first to third, second to home, that sort of stuff. So there's a lot of aspects here that I really like about Jose Ramirez. I think he's a guy that even if you're not going all switch hitters, that you should just get in your lineup anyway, whether it's a bench bat or you put him at one of his 4 positions that he has. I really like Jose Ramirez. That's our second baseman. Next up at short is actually another, I think third base primary. Nope, I was wrong. He's short primary. And it's Jonathan Villar. Got gold this year. I thought he was going to get gold last year, so I'm actually glad that he did. Feel a little bit vindicated for consistently calling for him to get gold in my upgrade videos. Look at that. He can play the entire infield and center field. That's really nice. Now, you probably want a better power guy at first base, so I'm not sure I would necessarily consider him there, but anytime you have flexibility, it's going to help. You can put him anywhere on the infield. Throw him in center field if you prefer. We do have a pretty speedy center fielder coming up who actually has very similar speed to VR, so it's kind of your preference there, but we'll get to him in a moment. I really like Jonathan Villar. This is a nice card this year. Again, the numbers aren't eye-popping, but I think the combination of the speed, defense, flexibility, and solid contact, you could put him at the top or bottom of the lineup and expect to get a lot of quality base hits. Next up, this is another, actually, that's our third shortstop eligible guy, who's actually going to be the most expensive guy here. And so if you're building this lineup, you're going to have gotten him. Well, yeah, I mean, you can get him either way. You can go buy him in the market, but most people are going to have pulled him some other way, maybe from packs or something, to have him, because Francisco Lindor is not cheap. Look at that, $75,000 for buy now, $61,150 for sell now. But look at why. Look at that. He's so excellent. The defense is amazing at short, second, or third. Of course, you put him at short with that kind of defense. Look at that contact. Now, here's the thing. I firmly believe that Jose Ramirez, I'm going to go back to him real fast, is a poor man's Francisco Lindor. I mean, there is a difference in the contact. It's about 10 points, but everything else, and the defense. I'm talking hitting-wise, sorry. Defensively, it's Lindor by a landslide. We're not even talking about that. We're focused on the hitting. Hitting-wise, the pair is not that different, especially when you consider the price. You could pay $948 right now. You could pay under a G to get him, or pony up big time for Lindor. Don't get me wrong. There are perks to this Lindor card that would, make you want him. I totally get that. But if you can't afford him, you can figure it out where you put Ramirez at short or even VR at short, and you pull somebody up from one of the other lineups. I just made these 3 lineups to kind of show you what I've got. You can take anybody from this pool of players that I've got. I think it's 24 players. What would that be? Yeah, 24 players that we've got, and you can kind of make a lineup however you see fit. This is just what I came up with. Next up is our guy that we're going to put in left field. I got to make sure that yep, there he is. Carlos Beltran. He's actually right field primary, but he has left field as well. So since he's a little bit worse on fielding, we'll put him in left field. Usually put the worst guy in left field. It also depends kind of where you play. There could be some spots where the right field is a little bit easier, and maybe you want to still stick him out there. Look at that amazing upgrade that he has against righties. He's going to have upgrades regularly too. That's another reason why I love the Carlos Beltran, is because you're going to get inside edge boosts versus right or left. Maybe not on a daily basis, but very regularly. So I think he's a must for any lineup that you're going to put together that is all switch hitters. You got to take the defense, but it's worth it for the hitting. I love Carlos Beltran. Now here's the guy I was alluding to earlier, the speedy center fielder that's going to be able to cover that for us with his great speed. See, it's almost, it's just a little bit better than VR. I think VR was 99, 98, 98. And Billy Hamilton is, of course, straight 99s across the board. His hitting isn't as good, but if you are, somebody who likes to bunt, if you're a little bit of a bunt cheeser, this card becomes even better for you. And the defense is excellent as well. The arm accuracy isn't that great, but if you're using buttons accuracy, you should be able to kind of mitigate that a little bit. And so that's why I put him in center field over VR. But again, if you don't have him, or if you want to put him somewhere else, you could put VR in center and maybe put Billy in right. Kind of however you see fit. But I think this is a guy that, even though I just got done mentioning that I don't run a whole bunch, I'm gonna want him. I'm gonna want him on my team if I'm gonna make a full switch hitter lineup. And then next up, I think is another center field eligible guy, and it is Dexter Fowler. Where is Dexter? Dex, you on the other page? There he is. Dexter Fowler, 80 right now. Those numbers aren't blowing you away one way or another because the defense is a little bit suspect. We can put him in right, though, with the arm strength, right? 79 arm strength will succeed in right. Kills lefties, passable against righties. I just really like Dexter. This is another guy that I hit better than his numbers would suggest with him. It's just something about the card. We all have cards like that, so that's why I recommended him on the first team. You might have some other guys that you want to bump up and say, no, I'm going to go with him. Plus, by the way, I'm only giving the lineup. There still has to be a bench. So you can take some of the guys from Team 2, put them on your bench, and maybe start them over somebody like Fowler. So Fowler ends up becoming a bench guy on your Team 1. However you want to do it. But he's somebody that I hit extremely well with, so that's why I put him in the first lineup. So just to review, that first lineup is Yasmani Grandal at catcher, Victor Martinez at first, Jose Ramirez at second, Jonathan Villar at third, Francisco Lindor at short, and then Carlos Beltran, Billy Hamilton, and Dexter Fowler from left to center in the outfield. Now let's go back and start up the Team 2 lineup, and I alluded to this guy earlier as a catcher eligible, and that's why we're going to put him at catcher. We're going to put Carlos Santana as our Team 2 catcher. I really like this card on paper or on screen, but I don't hit well with him, and it's very frustrating because I'm a big Carlos Santana fan, and I just wish I was better, but I'm not. For whatever reason, I'm just not. But yeah, I like it because it's dynamic. You see that you got the power against righties, you got more contact against lefties, solid vision, great discipline, great durability, catcher first and third, 3 good positions, solid passable defense. Nothing, it's not great, with a 59 reaction, but I like the arm. So if you did put him at third, I don't think he would kill you. He's slow, but that's all right. I think I've used him a little bit. Yeah, nothing crazy. I'm 250 right now, but last year I used him a bunch, even his back, not his backup, his flashback, and it just never worked. And that was a real big bummer because I do like him. But we're going to put him at catcher here on this team. And then the next guy is, I just saw him right there, Kendrys Morales. And I know my buddy Brady, Bowlerboy14, has absolutely been decimating fools with Kendrys so far this season. And you look, it's a great hitting card. Again, power against righties, contact against lefties. I like these switch hitters that kind of have different skill sets depending on what handedness they're facing. It's really interesting. Now the defense is atrocious. That's why we're going to put him at first, even though he does have outfield eligibility. I think you're just asking for trouble to stick him in left or right. Maybe your mileage will vary and you'll want to put him in there, but I just wouldn't do it. The speed is atrocious. The defensive ratings are atrocious. Man, he just screams to be a DH. That's why he's a DH in real life. But the hitting is worth it. So even though I do worry about the defense, I would get him in the lineup, and I would get him in the starting lineup if I was making a team that was maybe more bronze focused. Remember, a lot of those guys in the original lineup are silvers, and we're actually about to start an event where you can only use bronze and commons. So I think these next 2 teams, the one we're doing right now and the lineup after this, will be a bit more applicable for those of you that are going to be working on that event. Over at second base, we have Neil Walker, and I haven't used a whole lot of him, but I remember using him in BR last year. Okay bit, decent bit. I don't know exactly how many plate appearances I logged. I don't think I've used him yet this year. Yeah, I haven't. But I like the balance. Again, you look at that, you're not losing much one way or the other depending on who's on the mound, except today with a 1-star. You are losing some love against righties, but that's all right. Defense is a little bit sketchy, not great, but you can fake a guy at second base for a quality bat. That's a position where you can take a hit in order to get the better bat. So we'll put Neil Walker at second base here. Moving over to shortstop. For this next guy who we're actually going to put at third. Sorry, that was a little bit confusing. I was looking at it, I was like, oh, he's definitely a shortstop. But we're putting him at third, and it is, please scroll over. It is oh, there he is, right at the top, Asdrubal Cabrera. Now, he had a big power outburst last year, and as you can see, it was against right-handers. So he's got a 72 power against them, and then he's got a good contact against lefties. Another one of these guys that is a different player depending on which side you're facing. He's got a hell of a 5-star today, boosting his power all the way up to 85 against righties. And if you catch him, if you're using him in that event on one of these boosted days, that's going to be a big play for you. So you can put him at second, third, or short. I got him at third right now because I like the guy at short that we have a little bit better. And I think he's a silver, but he might be a second base silver. And that's third base, Paul Coollife. And it is Cesar Hernandez. Now he's a silver, so you can't use him in the new event coming up. But we're also talking wide ranging here. We're not just talking events, but I just wanted to bring that up since it did come out today that it is going to be a bronze common event. But Cesar Hernandez, nice contact guy that you put at the bottom of the lineup. You could put him at leadoff too. I know some folks like to use kind of a traditional contact speed guy as their leadoff. I'm not as focused on that. I will sometimes do it. Like, I'm not against it, but I don't think it's a must. It's not something that I make sure I have. So this is more of an 8-9 hitter for me, depending on where I'm going to bat the pitcher. You really like that 90 contact against left. There's no real punch, but good fielding. That's why he's going to be the shortstop on this team, and quality speed as well. He went yard today, by the way, too, during opening day. So congrats to him. Maybe they'll up his power based on one home run. Next up in left field is a guy that I love, and he can play anywhere. I settled on left field here, and he would definitely be on my number one team on the bench at the very least, if not starting. Well, not starting because I gave you the number one team and he wasn't starting, but he will be on the bench. I love Yangervis Solarte. Another balanced guy. You only losing 5 points again in power from righty to lefty. Contact is even. Vision is awesome. I hit with this card all the time. I hit with it yet last year. I don't know if I've used him this year. Just one plate appearance. I'm 0 for 1. Never mind. I can't hit with him anymore. Dang it. I lied to y'all. The defense is average. It's okay. Second base, I think, or left field is where you really want him. But the bat, I mean, don't get dissuaded by these numbers. Try him out, y'all. I highly recommend you try him out. See where you're at with him. I just mentioned Brady earlier. He also hits extremely well with him. I think he hit like 7 homers in a tournament with Solarte, so he's very much on board with Solarte. He was a Diamond Dynasty beast last year, Battle Royale beast last year because you can move him around. I used him in Diamond Dynasty, but I meant Battle Royale just because that flexibility is so nice. So I got Yangervis Solarte currently at left field on this team. Moving over to the outfield, I think this guy's left eligible. Yep, there he is, Melky Cabrera. We're going to put him in center. It's not great. The defense on this team is a little bit sketchier, but we can take that. It's mostly 70s across the board. That'll pass. It's not great, but we can put him out there. It'll work. He's on a 5-star today. Even though the Tigers and White Sox didn't play due to weather, that really pissed me off because I'm just sitting there waiting for opening day, and then my favorite team doesn't even play. But I do think you'll get a lot of good boosted days with him, so that makes him another quality get. So we'll put Melky Cabrera out in center, and then the right fielder, you could put him in a lot of different spots as well, and that's Ben Zobrist. Man, this is another card that I really enjoy using. I'm only 2 for 8 with him so far this year, but I really liked using him last year. Even with the pretty mediocre to blah numbers against righties, I still was able to hit righties pretty well. That vision and discipline are so good. They do kind of offset the otherwise, again, uninspiring numbers against righties. Doesn't have a lot of punch, but that 95 contact against lefties is fantastic. Great fielder, plays a lot of different spots, second, short, and then the entire outfield. Some speed, so you're not completely clogging up the base paths. I love Zobrist. He would be on the team 1 as well. He's just not starting on team 1, but he would definitely be on the bench. I do prefer Jose Ramirez to him right now, even though Ramirez is silver and Zobrist is a gold, but he would make my team 1 for sure. So that's the second team. I'll cover that again. It's Carlos Santana, Kendrys Morales. Carlos Santana catcher, Kendrys Morales at first, Neil Walker at second, Asdrubal Cabrera at third, Cesar Hernandez at short, Yangervis Solarte in left, Melky Cabrera in center, and Ben Zobrist in right. All right, I got one more team here for you. And again, you can mix and match these guys however you'd like to kind of come up with the team that best suits you, because you're also going to need 5 bench guys. And I think I got a nice mix here of bronzes, silvers, and a couple golds, and then just the 1 diamond with Lindor. I don't know if I have any commons in here yet. This team might have a couple commons, but definitely got some bronzes that you can use in the upcoming event. So Matt Wieters is going to be our catcher here. Good defense, good fielding and blocking, solid hitter. I raked with him last year. It was early in the season, so I know some of it was definitely, computer conquest and lower levels of DD. But I dominated, and so I do have positive feelings towards Matt Wieters. I definitely try to get him on a team, but Grandal and Santana, I'm gonna try Santana again this year. We'll see if I can hit with him. So Wieters does fall down a little bit, but he's somebody you can definitely consider for the defense. Grandal's defense is good, but Santana's isn't. So I would understand if you wanted to go with Wieters over Santana for the defense, trading a little bit of that batting average or a little bit of that hitting for the defense. First base on this team, man, what's he going to be? Is he going to be shortstop or third? He's a bronze. You know what? This is the better way to do it because I know what team he's on. These guys with multiple eligibility, I don't always know exactly where to find them. I apologize for that. It's Marwin Gonzalez, though. We're going to put him at first base. He plays the entire infield. Look at that. Wow, 5-star today. Boosts him up to 78, crushing righties to go with his already better numbers against lefties. This will be a great day to use him. Solid defense, nothing crazy, but above average running, good card, a lot of hot zones. So Marwin Gonzalez is going to be our first baseman. Moving out to the Diamondbacks really fast. Our second baseman is going to be Ketel Marte. He's down today. Oh, wait. It said down over here, but then it's not down when you get in here. Well, yeah, because they didn't play today, so he shouldn't be down. Anyway, this is a little bit like maybe poor man's Cesar Hernandez, where really poor man's, I guess, because the defense isn't nearly as good, and the contact, he doesn't have a 90 contact against either side the way Cesar does, but, you know, it's passable. Again, a number 8 hitter sort of card that can play second and short. You need middle infielders, of course. And so if you are scraping the bottom of the barrel, or if you're looking for somebody in that bronze event, you might want to use Ketel Marte. I don't have any at-bats with him, so I can't speak exactly to how great he is. Look at that first pitch hitter quirk. But I did want to put him in for consideration here, making the 3 lineups. Next guy, we're going team by team instead of position. Putting Jose Reyes at third. Where are you, Jose? There you are. And, you know, he's got some pretty good numbers. Not today, minus 1 star, minus 11s against righties. You would not want to use him today, but good defense, good speed. You know, I'm really not a fan of him anymore after what happened with him and his wife in the domestic violence issue. But I'm putting him up here as a recommendation to consider if you're making an all-switch hitter team, and I'll leave it at that. Next up at short for this club is another Philly, Freddie Galvis, who somehow hit 20 homers last year. I have no freaking clue how that happened. They didn't go crazy with his numbers, and I agree, by the way, they shouldn't have, because it's kind of outlandish. We'll see how much it sticks. He did it a home run opening day. He and Cesar Hernandez both went yards, so it's not a great hitting card. You're putting it in for the defense and speed, and for the fact that you need a shortstop, and if you can't afford Lindor or VR, and you know you're putting the other guys elsewhere, like Asdrubal, you don't really, you know, his defense isn't as good. So this is a low-level consideration, but some people might only have Galvis to consider, and you can put him in at the bottom of your lineup. Now the outfield on this team, again, keep in mind this is the third team here. I want to stress that because these are not the best cards, but they're considerations, especially when you're doing. Oh, there's a common. So here. Because you're going to need a standard certain overall in this event. So you're going to need some commons. And a guy who can play every infield position and 2 of the 3 outfield positions, like Jurickson Profar can, I would consider. Solid defense, solid speed, okay hitting. I mean, for a common, it's okay. It's not good. I'm not going to sit here and BS y'all. It's not good. But this is another guy that last year I hit pretty well with, despite him being pretty bland. His numbers were a lot like this last year, and I would take him in BR for the positional flexibility, and it ended up going all right. So hopefully I can hit well with him again this year. He will make my team in the bronze common event, and we'll see how I do with him. This guy, I don't know if he's going to be, I think he's a free agent. We're going to put in center. Yep, Angel Pagan. Pretty solid card here. I like this card. If you remember what Jose Ramirez looked like, this isn't too far from Jose Ramirez with the low 70s on both contacts. It's a little bit less powerful, Jose Ramirez, but good vision as well. Passable defense. You know, we're putting it in center field. 67 speed. it's going to be all right. You know, again, we're talking bronzes, so keep your expectations in check. But this is a passable, usable card, especially when we're getting deep here. I know I keep reiterating it because I don't want comments like, what? Why would you pick Anel Pagan? Listen, we're on like our 23rd of 24 players here. I understand that we're kind of near the bottom of the barrel. All right, and our last guy who we're going to put in right field for this team is youngster Josh Bell, who I think might be a common as well. Boom, so that's another common. So we got 3 commons. These guys you can consider for that event for sure. You know, just kind of blah across the board, but usable. And he plays first and right. You know, there's a little bit of speed. If you put him over at first, and then you put Marwin into the infield elsewhere, you put him at a little bit more of a defensive position, I could see doing that for sure. And maybe get rid of Marte, put Marwin at second, Josh Bell at first, because then you're getting a little bit of speed out of first base, and that kind of boosts him up a little bit. He excels at pinch hitting, so maybe you put him on the bench of your event team and you bring him in a pinch hit situation. I was wondering what the hell that was at first, but I think that's a bat rack. And those holes and there's 3 bats sticking out. So anyway, that'll do it for the third lineup. I'll review it. It's Matt Wieters at catcher, Marwin Gonzalez at first, Ketel Marte at second, Jose Reyes at third, Freddie Galvis at short, Jurickson Profar in left, Anel Pagan in center, and then Josh Bell in right. Hopefully you find some usefulness out of this. I know a lot of folks are really interested in switch hitters this year. I did not look at any legends or flashback cards. By design, I was just focused on live series cards here. So keep that in mind. If you do have some legends or flashbacks that you can use, more power to you. But I just thought with live series, that's something that's available to everybody, and that's why I focused on that. Good luck out there hitting with switch hitters, and good luck in the event if you decide to play it. Thanks for watching. Please hit that subscribe button. We got plenty of Diamond Dynasty content coming out all year long.